I'd like to call to order the meeting of May 15, 2018. Would you all please stand for the invitation and pledge allegiance to the flag?
We pray to give our council members the faith and courage to carry on their duties, help them to do right, to deal fairly with others, and to place their trust in you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Everyone have the microphone. Becker.
Here.
Summers.
Here.
McVeigh.
Here.
Woodson.
Here.
Bob.
Here.
Noel.
Here.
Clayton.
Here.
Lewis.
Here.
Hudson.
Here. You'll receive the meeting minutes from May 1st. Any questions or comments on those? Not will stand as presented. I have a proclamation I'd like to read this evening for National Police Week 2018. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which May 15th falls is National Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agency for the City of Columbiana play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the City of Columbiana, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. Whereas the men and women of the law enforcement agency of the City of Columbiana unceasingly provide vital public service. Now therefore I, Brian Blakeman, Mayor of the City of Columbiana, by the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim the week of May 13th through 19th, 2018 as Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our people may join in commemorating law enforcement officers past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. Further call upon the citizens of the City of Columbiana to observe May 15, 2018 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors and fallen heroes. Thank you, Chief, for everything you do.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your reading.
You received reports on Columbiana Park and Cemetery Board meeting minutes from April 23rd, as well as Planning Commission meeting minutes of May 8, 2018. Any comments on either of those? All right. First up, we have Kathy Kagi Brown here with Heroes and Halos requesting permission to hold a special needs race on September 15, 2018 in the City of Columbiana.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Kagi Brown. I am the race director for the Heroes and Halos 5K Special Needs Fun Run Walk and Roll. Walk and roll also because we have people in wheelchairs and who maybe are in strollers or use walkers. It's a unique event because it's a special needs event, and then it's also a 5K, so anybody can join in of any ability. This year is pretty special for me because I've asked Cody Sherrill to be my co-director. This is the first time, with it being our 6th year, this is the first time that I'm having a co-director. Cody is a 2017 graduate of Crestview High School. She is part of Crown Theater production of special needs plays. She's in help correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Dana's Diamond Rockstars, which is special needs cheerleading. And she was in track her freshman through senior year. She's taken a medal at the last all five of the Heroes and Halos special needs races. And so I asked her to be my co-director this year. So she's going to present the schedule to you. after I kind of just explain real quick. It's the same as we've done before. The only thing that has changed is, that we're still doing it in cooperation with the, Johnny Appleseed race, but the people who are running that race this year are the Columbiana County Park board directors. So we're doing it collaboratively with them. We do our race in the afternoon, they do theirs in the morning. If you participate in both races, you get a double dipper special medal. So it's a good way to do collaborative community stuff. So I'm gonna pass out the information while Cody talks about the schedule.
Okay, so at 12 o'clock p.m. is the setup, and then at 3 p.m. is on-site registration. At 4 p.m. is the special needs fun run, walk and roll on track. At 5:30 is the official 5K run.
Yep.
At 6:15 is the silent auction and 50-50 raffle. At 6:30 is the award ceremony. At 7 is the angel wax, and at 7:15 is the tear down and clean.
What's the angel wax?
You wanna talk about it or you want me to? Sure. It is a memorial lap. We walk one quiet lap around the track, in remembrance of anyone who's part of our special needs family, who has passed away in the last year or previously. So it's a special lap where we can remember, the people who have become engaged. It's still at the high school. The date we're looking at is September 15th, thank you. Same time as we've always done it before, same race route as we've done before. I've talked to Officer Cross about auxiliary and explorers. We have insurance through Heroes and Halos. EMS, Kelly Harding has set up, and I think that's it. Oh, and we've had participants, of course, from Ohio, but also PA, West Virginia, and we have one runner who comes every year from Florida, because she participates in what's called I Run For, and she runs for one of our children who has special needs, and they happen to be paired up, and she lives in Florida, and she makes the trip every year. Any questions?
Talk to the chief. One of the finest events that the city has in here. We've worked with them all 6 years, and we're proud to play a very small part in helping them get that.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this.
Comment? Roll call?
Yes.
Souter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Noah?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our manager report.
Cody, before you leave, I'd like to say that, I think you conquered, one of the top 5 fears in life, which is public speaking. You
You should see her on stage. Thank you.
Okay, so we, received the asphalt bids and, did place those on the, agenda, as emergency tonight. We get, started on getting that better rate than what we've been getting. Out of the water plant, it's going really well. All the wells are online. We're gonna start the 30-day startup probably before the next council meeting, which means that they'll actually be treating water just as they will be, when we go online in service. It's just the water will be pumped in loops, and that'll be before we meet the next council meeting. I'd say we're gonna be treating water. Technically, you could drink it, but, we have to have that 30-day, period before we can start putting it in, so we're getting there. They're actually paving, the last week or so, it's looking like a real water plant, so. Sidewalk, if you've been out Fairfield Avenue, they can, they've been putting a lot of sidewalk in. I would say they probably have 90% in. The last 10% is I want to say, transitions. So it'll, into some of the existing sidewalks and existing structures that we have to do. I'd say they'll probably finish, the main part of the sidewalk this week, and then they'll go back and finish up through. And then they have some more storm to go back through, but it's amazing to watch that process. We can put it down. 7 and 14 project continues. We've been working with ODOT as needed. I think every department's been out there within a few weeks, and it's going well. Attended a fire station construction meeting, and they should be starting soon if they haven't already put their stuff out there. I think they're going to do that in the next couple of days. Attended a business development meeting to discuss some of the ideas that we've been working on that RCAP. We've been meeting for the last year and a half on that RCAP. So I think some pretty neat ideas. One of them was the IT training program. I was telling you about that. Some of our supervisors are going through kind of mirroring city of Albuquerque, who was the first group of public workers that went through it, and it just really promotes them working together. I mean, they already do a great job, but really think outside the box and get some projects done. We received several support letters for the recent grant application, and we'll be talking about those in the next few weeks, but we do appreciate those. We did get some residents and from various in the track and cross country for the TAP program. That's the sidewalk for Duquesne, so that's going really well. Greenford Christian Church will be completing a community service project. They did this back in, I believe it was '09. They came in, a bunch of the volunteers came in and painted fire hydrants on a Saturday. They're going to do that June 16th. They plan to work with the fire and the water department that day. Anybody that wants to volunteer is welcome to come out that day. I think we're going to start at 8 o'clock. Ace Hardware is participating in some of the, at least some help towards the supplies, and that's where we get the paint anyways for them, so that's good. And we look forward to the help of it. There's over 400 hydrants out there, and see how many we get done in one day. Street department, patched holes. We talked a little bit about that last time. It's kind of a creative way. Some of the communities you go in and you get these bumps after you put the hot mix down. It's kind of a pain, but we actually use this machine. We went out there and ground it down to smooth it off, and then put very large patches on some of the very bad areas, and that'll help us get through until the major paving projects come. We've been over, Jesse's been out there to oversee Fairfield Avenue sidewalk project a lot, and the 714 project. We had to perform some landscaping for a few dig sites, and did a few stormwater repairs. Water department, we moved the fire hydrant for out there at Fairfield Avenue sidewalk that was in the way. The staff has been trained and being trained every day on new equipment that we're starting up out there. It's hours on end. The neat thing is, I may have mentioned it in the past, but they're videotaping it, and then that is for a succession plan to let people know in the future how to operate the equipment. Wastewater department, we performed our spring maintenance program for the sewers, and we're sending the sewer machine out, and that's up in Twinsburg. So we've got some backup area cities that in counties that have offered to help us in need. We installed 3 pumps at various lift stations out in the system and at the plant, the wastewater department. Park and cemetery, been cutting the grass, service the mowers, painting the pool, just getting ready for opening day. The carving, I don't know if you've been up there to see it, but it's going along well. That's in honor of Dr. Pritchard. And I know, Park Board will be mentioning that and, doing a ribbon cutting on that at some point. Electric department, they've been, still out there at the water plant with, fiber optics. Still working on street lights. They did a large transformer, out at AutoZone. And the electric leads out at Cedar Run Development. That's that development that just opened up mid-March, and they've got 2 basements already poured. They're building, I think they've sold at least 1 or 2 more lots, if I'm not mistaken. We tested the generator and transfer switch at the new water plant, and for those of you on the south side of town, we tested it again today when a lightning hit and knocked the electric out. So it came on and worked. We were out for about an hour, and I guess one of the cutouts was actually hit by lightning, and that front came through today. I want to give you talk to the chief again. I can't believe it makes you proud to be from Columbiana with all the news that he's been bringing us, but take over, Chief.
Okay, I want to thank the city manager for, at the last minute, helping me to get some notice for the police week. I neglected to tell him that last week when he was on the agenda. I appreciate you, Mayor, for your proclamation. This came about in 1962. President Kennedy ordered this as Police Memorial Day. It's also the 31st year of shooting the standoff that changed my life forever. So I appreciate that very much. In terms of the K-9 program, we continue to have real strong community support. This marks the halfway point in the training of the K-9 team of our handler and the dog, Sudi. Sudi's memorized all the narcotics detection skills and can identify the different brands or types of narcotics. Now they are beginning to turn him loose on random checks where he can find hidden narcotics and recognize those odors and identify where they are and tell us that. His obedience training has improved greatly. He's a little hard-headed at first. He's a high-performance animal. He's hard-headed, so it requires a lot of skill to do that. Tracking foundations are coming along really well, and they've extended the tracks on him now where he's tracking further. He's also now tracking at a run. So they start out kind of losing their way a little bit and walking along. He's now able to keep a scent at almost a dead run, which is kind of bad news for Brian Granchi. He's got to run with it. Even if every day he gets about a 2-mile run, and he gets a steady diet of that. Welcome to the Ohio State Highway Patrol. That's the way they do things. He has a high confidence, the dog does, in apprehension work. He's just not afraid. They train all the fear out of him. He's doing really well. And really good news that happened today. We received 2 checks for $2,500 each for a total of $5,000 from John Gross and his family at Hillcrest Farms and Hillcrest Excavating. We continue to have our T-shirt sales. We continue to have basket raffles, and we continue to look for any help from any community member who still wants to help us. We have about $12,000 more to raise. We can see the finish line, and we're trying to sprint to get there and make our goals. So I think it's all good news, all exciting news. The dog is doing great, and in 5 more weeks, we hope to graduate him out of there and get him out here and get him acclimated to the city and begin using him as we hopefully get some warm and decent weather around here. And I appreciate the time. Thank you, sir. I'll answer any questions.
Okay, Brian, you've got the EMS reports, the building zoning bid results, and then I had down the discussion of the DORA. The idea that entertainment district was discussed last year, maybe in the last 18 months, but we found that it was not applicable to the city of Columbiana. At that time, we did see that the designated outdoor refreshment area seemed a better fit, but at that time we were lacking at least 1 permit. And then Nicole Ice was recently approved at the last planning commission for a winery. It's a form of all good things. So I placed this topic on DORA on the agenda. Actually, Nicole is here tonight. If you decide you'd like to refer it to the commission, as we did the entertainment district, we could do that. Mark just coming on recently, he did get the packet, he did get the door packet that, I gave out last year. So he's had a little chance to look at it. My idea at least would be to, kind of Mark and I look at it, a little bit more before it goes to planning commission, but we'll be plenty ready by, that first meeting, their meeting in June. If you wanna do it the same way that you do the entertainment district, so. But with that, you've got that packet, it is up to 150 acres that you could do, that's up to, so it would take us sitting down and Mark and I would probably come up with an area, and it seems like a pretty straightforward process. And we do have, examples of Worthington, Hilliard, I believe it's Hilliard, and then, actually City Camp reached out to us yesterday, saw it in the paper, and it said that, they have a, I don't know if it's a solicitor or if it's an attorney, if we have any questions, they went through the process.
Chief, what do you think about the board?
I haven't seen the proposal, but I've talked to a number of people about it, just in general terms. If this is something that, we want to see downtown, that the community is in favor of, I have no general objections to it. I think we have several events now, including the St. Jude's Festival, the wine tasting event that we have every year, other events, the four-wheel drive Jeep Jamboree that happens out to the American Legion. Those usually come off without a hitch, and I don't know that this would be any different from that. The concerns that would have to be addressed, of course, is how do we identify the legal age of those who would be consuming alcohol? How do we police it in terms of making sure we're not over-serving or having problems that are associated with over-serving of alcohol? I think those are all things that can be handled and worked out. I think the people that I've known to be involved in this effort are good, responsible business people and people that want to do the right thing for the community. I think we have a lot of positives. We just work together and handle all those concerns and address those. And the last thing I'd be concerned about is people coming in and bringing their own alcohol and circumventing the rules. We can find ways to work around those things, and the only thing I'm concerned about there is just simply a staffing issue in terms of all the growth that we're seeing, and we're spread pretty thin sometimes, and we'd have to work some of that out. But those are good growing pains to have, I guess. We'll work all that out with whoever's going to spearhead this project, and we're glad to help anything. In general terms, I really don't have any serious view.
May I speak? I'm so sorry if I just like went back in. Nicole, I totally understand what you're talking about. So, on top of those concerns, there have been other concerns regarding how often, restrooms, things like that. I've spoken about this in great detail with the other permit holders, and we are all willing to pay for our own designated cups. We are willing to get wristbands that show that the person was carded and they are 21. They will be super tight. It'll be like a fair. We will take the full responsibility of that. And we have also discussed the restroom for the days that it is approved, because I don't expect this to be a weekend thing, like an every weekend thing. That's not what we're thinking anyway. However the council wants to go about doing it, we're just happy to be a part of it. But with the restrooms, in addition to the one that's behind Birdfish, we will put one behind ours as well. And I'm sure that Chalabella's or whomever else has a permit, we can set something else up. And the Rances will put one on the Garden of Eden. So we do understand the concerns, and we are willing to work with you in any way, shape, or form, however we need to do it. So, but I do understand all those concerns, and they're very valid concerns. There's probably more concerns too that will come out, but I just wanted to say that we have talked about this. We're dedicated to making it work. So whatever you guys need from us.
Since you're up here, I actually had a couple of students come up to me. I didn't even have to ask them. They came up to me and they expressed their concern about having alcohol on Main Street.
They are, you know, we're looking at 14, 15, 16-year-olds who, they don't like the initial idea of it.
That's awesome.
And I love that.
No,
That's really great.
Congratulations.
Obviously, we're teaching them well, then, if we're,
Yeah.
you know, but, I mean, their concerns are very legitimate, because in a couple of years, they are going to be of legal age and things like that, and we wanna set a good example, ahead of time. What I wanna see, as we move forward with this, is what are we gonna do to make sure that Main Street is not a place where they can't be because an event's going on? Because we do have some businesses that cater specifically to the younger crowd that are on Main Street, and I don't want to see these kids feeling like they can't be downtown.
Totally understand that. So, and I don't have anything really valid to compare this to, like, I don't have a really good analogy, but I know that, I mean, there's people that go into Birdfish with their kids and have beers, and their kids are playing Uno and stuff like that. Like, I think that the core group of people that we have that want to do this are not gonna mistreat it. Like, no one's gonna come into the winery and be like, I need 7 glasses, let's pound them. Like, we're not trying to do anything like that. It's not a punch palace, it's not a drunk fest, that's not the goal. The goal is the leisure activity of being able to get a beer or get a glass of wine, and if the owners of the other stores want to let people come in and shop while they're having a glass of wine or a beer, it's up to their own discretion, but it's gonna be such a cool experience. And if it goes, I mean, if you guys don't wanna do it, you don't wanna do it, it's not gonna help or hinder us. We're trying to see something new and fresh that would be really cool, and as far as the kids go, that's super cool that they came up and talked to you about it, because there's not very many kids that would be like, hey, this is bugs, like, I heard there's gonna be alcohol, like, when I was 16, I would've been like, how do we get those wristbands? Like, to be completely honest with you, so that's really cool.
Yeah, no, we've got some good kids in our community.
That's fantastic.
They're concerned about.
So, you know, what I would be interested in, how, if they were in your shoes, what kind of jurisdictions or what kind of rules would they like to see? What would they like to see? Because they're not gonna see drunk people stumbling down the road. It's not gonna happen. I mean, you barely see drunk people stumbling in Birdfish. I mean, it's few and far between, it does happen, but we're all super respectful. And we all love kids too, so, I mean, I don't see it being an issue, but I would be really interested what their, fixes would be on something like that, what they would like to see. Should it be from this hour to this hour? Is it when generations is closed? Is it like, all the generations? I would just love to hear their input, because I think it's really valuable, so.
The idea of having a door, a district like this would be to bring people down and have an event going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I was in Florida, in Melbourne, they closed down the historic district, one street, and they had, artists come in, show their wares, jewelry, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And they did this, beer, wine, you could walk around, go to the stores and stuff like that. I never, ever once saw a drunk. It was always all day Saturday and Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So, and kids were there. It was a real family atmosphere, and people enjoyed it. And the local merchants just, I mean, you know, they laughed all the way to the bank.
Right.
It was great.
And that's what we're trying to do. I mean, this isn't because we want to drink on the street, because, like I said, it's not gonna help or hinder Birdfish or myself if this goes through or not. It would just be really fun to involve everybody into experiencing that type of just low-key European, really, is kind of what it reminds me of feeling. And I know that's not what Columbiana is about, but it would just be so neat on so many different levels to bring people together and get local artists, and not like the girls that sell the candles, like the Scentsy stuff, not that, like handmade, like the stuff that Reclaim Rose does. like those type of tables. People, there's so many people that in this city have these little tiny, like, sell businesses, like, in their basement, and they don't have options to do things where they buy a storefront. This would be an opportunity to bring people like that out of the woodwork. Kids can set up stations and sell stuff. I mean, the possibility is really endless.
Melbourne, Florida got it to be so big that they will bring people from all over the eastern United States. They're
That's
not
cool.
from Maine to sell their stuff.
That's super neat.
It was great.
Yeah.
People won't get that big, but they make it.
Right. And we discussed parking, we talked with, the Gormans that own the Clipper Day Tripper. There's plenty of parking at Firestone Farms. We talked about having, when we have those events, that way there's not a huge concentration of cars down here and magnets. We would start it up there, just have them get bussed in on the Clipper Day Tripper, and it's really, I think we can make it really smooth.
The thing
As
is,
long as you guys give us guidelines.
if you don't try it, you'll never know.
Correct.
If it doesn't work, you can always stop it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we don't have any expectations of length of how long it's gonna last or anything like that. We just know that the city of Columbiana is now available to have one. And it's not gonna be something that happens overnight either, like, it has to go to the state, and then it has to sit with the state for 30 days, and then the state has to come out and has to measure everything that Mark draws up, because and your blueprints are gonna be top notch. And so they have to do all that, like, it's not gonna be something that's overnight. So the discussion can still go on of what we need to do and how we need to do it, but, I think that we can all do it together. And that's what excites me the most, because clicks kind of suck. And having everybody on the same team is kind of cool, and we can do that. So.
Question?
Yeah, well, I just have two things that are of interest to me at least. First, I think that because we have a number of different organizations that run different kinds of events in town, it would be nice to get input from those organizations on what they thought of this idea, whether they thought it was something that would improve their, or make them worse. You know, I know I was involved in running bingo at Street Fair for 10 years or something like that, and, this could definitely cause us a problem, because you can't have alcohol in
In a gambling facility, I totally understand that.
Situation. Now, there's ways we could deal with it, by putting up signs and saying no alcohol permitted or something like that. I don't know that the American Legion would even want alcohol at Street Fair to begin with, but I'd like that kind of input from people to find out what they really thought would happen.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
And then the second one is more of a legal issue. We have two wet precincts in town. We have all the rest of them are dry. And it seems to me that if we create a situation where we are, like, I don't know, can we create a door in a dry precinct? That's a legal question that someone needs to ask and find out if we're able to do that. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if anybody's ever looked at it.
So I'm not an attorney. I went to school to be one, but never went to law school.
Well, I never even did that.
I would have much rather been a geologist, to be clear. I like rocks, I dig them. From all of the research that I did, because once I found out about it, I became obsessed, like not sleep obsessed. And from what I understand, we can do it on Main Street, even though half of the street is dry. Like right now, only half, it's the west side of the street is dry.
Yeah, the west side is dry, the east side is wet.
Correct. But with the Dora, it makes that whole area wet for those Dora times.
Okay.
But
Well,
no
I would like it verified, that's all.
No, absolutely, yeah, I'm sure Mr. Hudson's gonna dig into that, but like Generations can't be like Bailey's and coffee on Saturday with the Dora, they can't do that. That's not gonna happen, even though it's gotta be actually pretty cool, but they can't do that, they don't have a permit, so, but I understand, and from what I read, we can, but I'm sure that Mark will be able to confirm that over his hours of research.
Nicole, a couple of questions. Okay, I noticed in the one of our handout packets, that
Yeah.
there was some frontage here,
Yeah,
okay? is your group thinking of something like that?
We cannot do that because the city owns the sidewalk.
Okay, well, that was question number one.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Number two, I think the feedback idea would be really generous to the council by possibly someone from a member of Tourism Bureau, Chamber of Commerce, maybe Planning Commission, even a member of council. I think communication here has to be done and well thought through. You know, we have a lot of split ages in Columbiana. We've been known for years as a retirement community, an antique community, and now some movement in other directions. It just, my concern is that, we actually look at everything we can, and if that plan decides to be a positive one, so be it. But, I would like to hear more from your group, because all of, you know, there's a select amount of merchants that would be totally involved in this. And I think we need to get someone that is, you know, well, not generations, well, let's say that they're the folks right next door to them.
Like the Cedar Peddler or Main Street Shop.
And I'm also thinking about, you know, there's a possibility of a pool hall being opened in town. Okay, and if we go wet during those times,
No.
they're gonna be allowed to go in there.
So the answer to that is, I don't know about the pool hall. I think that's one of those things that Dick was talking about, where it could or could not be a gambling thing with the pool hall, but I'm not entirely sure, and that's gonna be another Mark Hudson mix.
Well, one of the things that I looked at a number of the cities that, Lance mentioned, and what their store rules were.
Mm-hmm.
And they go all over the place. There was, I think, Canton, does not permit you to carry liquor any place except outside. You can't go into a store, carrying, then there was Worthington or someplace like that where it was up to the store owner.
Right.
And almost every place I looked at, you can take it out of the place where you buy it, but you can't take it into another establishment.
Correct.
That serves alcohol.
You cannot buy a beer from Birdfish and walk over to Sundog Cellars.
Right.
The two cannot mix. Permits can't mix with each other. So it would have to be something like that. And as far as whether or not it would be allowed in the stores, like you said, one of them it was up to the discretion of the merchant owner. I mean, that's cool, however you guys wanna do it, because if the merchant doesn't want it in their store, or if you guys say, okay, we love this, some of the merchants are kind of on the fence of this, let's just do it outside. They can set, the ones that want people to buy stuff from them during these events, they can set tables outside. I mean, there's still ways to involve everybody, you know, regardless. And again, this isn't something that I'm like, like, it needs to be done right, or it's not gonna be done.
Yeah.
So,
Just one other comment. Lance, you mentioned that we have 4 on Main Street now. I think we really seriously ought to consider extending it down Park Avenue to include the new Birdfish location as well.
so Josh Dunn and I talked about this, and he was supposed to come here with me, but there was a huge can issue that happened, and he's dealing with beer everywhere. So he would love to have East Park included in it, because they wanna do tours.
Yeah.
And that could bring so many people in. Like, Josh and I have already started contacting, like, tour, like, winery and brewery tour places to come down and go to the brewery, go to they call it the Up Top, the one on Main Street, and then to us. So there's really cool things we can do, and we can do that without the door too, but it would just be a lot cooler if we could just walk. So, and again, I would love for it to be done right. I would love to hear more about what your kids have to say, because it is valuable, so.
That First Friday group too, those ladies, we
Yeah.
have to get them involved, because they're the ones that are talking about bringing, vendors and things into town, and see what they think about it.
Well, it wouldn't even necessarily have to be on the first Fridays.
No, but I'm
Okay.
talking about because of their expertise. You know, do they think this will help us or hurt us? Just that be just another data point.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, we'll, definitely get with, April and her crew, for sure.
the thought just occurred to me also, on the same nights that we would have home football games. Okay, that's why those dates would be, you know, something that really needs to be researched. Because if they go uptown, say if you had it 5 to 8, all right, most games start at 7. Okay, I wouldn't wanna see us deal with an issue,
No, we could call it like varsity blues night where we can't do it. Like,
well,
if we-
it just was a
Yeah.
thought that rolled in.
No, absolutely, like, again, it's gonna be up to whatever you guys feel the most comfortable with, if you feel comfortable with it at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's why I think that you have to have a contingency, a body and brainstorm to put this together,
right,
because, you know, Dick thinks of some things, you know, some ideas I think of, and I'm sure Crystal
Well,
does, and, you know,
I went on Facebook, there was a post on the Concerns, what's it called, Nikki? Concerns Columbia? Okay, and I asked people, because there were people that were against it too, I was like, please come up tonight, like, let's talk about it, like, I would love to hear what everyone had to say, so.
I'd rather see that away from here, and then you get a representative, okay, of all of those folks, and then, you know, you gotta wade through the water in order to get to the other side of the stream.
Well, I understand that, but some people won't talk in a public forum, so that's the only thing.
Yeah.
And they might have concerns that we don't even think of, so that was the main reason why I was like, please come up, ask questions.
There's a million ways you can organize this, from specific dates that are pre-approved to, oh no, you gotta come to council and request it,
That would work
activity,
too.
and also the door at the same.
That would totally work with that.
There's all kinds of ways to do it.
Yeah.
And we're so early into this, there's no way to know what the best way is at this point.
Right, and to be completely clear, with the article that the wonderful Katie wrote, I loved it, it was great. I think that it was taken a little bit out of context too, just because it was so like, whoa, there's a winery opening up, whoa, there's a door up. Like, it was like everyone focused on that we could have this outdoor refreshment area with zero details, and, oh, there's a winery, yeah. So, that's, I think that we definitely need to get some details out there and have people think about it, like, on a more settled and not shock value base, so.
Well, I think we need to understand too, that the council is in control of all the dates of the door.
Correct.
So, if we decide on football nights we don't want it, we don't have it. I mean,
Right.
there's no question.
But that's the brainstorming that they need to go through to bring back to us those types of ideas. In going through this, material, there's a lot in there to synthesize
It's a ton.
and to absorb.
It's a lot to digest, for sure. So, and everyone does it differently, so, and I'm sure Canton does it differently. I mean, I went to school in Canton, and we definitely walked down the street, but I don't know if it was for Adora. So, are there any other questions?
I'd just like to expound real quick on what Dan said. I think it's probably a good idea if you can get these people together and talk to them, and then bring the information back, rather than us try to sit here in council and discuss this with everybody.
That's, yeah.
At least initially, so we can get a flavor.
Yeah, that can be done.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go help with beer now.
Anything else, Lane?
Well, I guess just that, you know, when we had the discussion about the DORA, and Dan did mention planning commission, so I could give the same packet to planning commission next time if you'd like, you know, kind of, do you want them, you know, to look into this, or
In my opinion, I think Nicole's gotta go back and get their group together, as, you know, and work it that way. Please bring it back after that, represent your ideas to council, and then if we go back the other
So-
direction.
So do you want it presented to council first or to planning
It's gotta
commission
go to
first?
planning commission
Okay,
first.
and that's,
Is it a zoning issue? This isn't a zoning issue.
Now, I think it should come to council first.
That's what I
Okay, all right.
And we may wish to refer some aspect or the entire thing to planning commission. But at this point, I don't see it as a planning commission issue.
okay.
I think having a good idea of what you as the business owners that are gonna be participating in and the other ones along the area that will be affected, knowing what you wanna get out of it and having that basis of a plan gives us a good focus and a good starting point.
So-
Because there's 70,000 different things we can come up with.
So
out here.
knowing what we wanna get out of it, will you expand on that? In what way?
What do you wanna see? Do you wanna see this every weekend?
Oh, right
Is
on.
it like
Okay,
a
got it.
clarification, more clarified as to what you would like, what's your wish list of how this is going to be packaged? And then from there, we'll know
Got it.
what we agree with, what we think the rest of the community is on it.
And you need to talk to our other tenants in town.
Oh,
Okay,
no,
we have-
absolutely.
We have, one establishment that, requires a couple of parking places in front so people can come in and they go into their store and, there's been times where they've said, hey, we need a little more help here, okay, because the parking gets so congested, are you gonna shut that part of the town down? I'd like to see the other side of it too, you follow what I'm saying?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I trust me, I knew this would not be met without opposition, and
It's not opposition, is
No,
what I'm saying.
I mean it in a good way, it's a positive criticism, because I'm seeing it from one side and kind of from the other side, so there does need to be more digging done to it, and more molding, finessing.
The DORA application itself, is that something the city applies for or you apply for?
The city does, the city council has to, after it passes.
I didn't read that the city council had to, I thought it had to be applied for by the city manager.
But after city council
If
approves
it's
it.
approval,
Yeah,
there
has-
has to be approval.
correct, and then Lance has to send in for
And I
it.
think there'd be an ordinance that we have to pass in order to even allow it to happen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the charter says in that.
Yeah, you'd
I
have
don't know
to,
that it would be.
you'd have to submit that with paperwork, I'm pretty sure. Anything else? Now you're gonna use your beer?
I'm gonna go help with beer everywhere.
No. We received the, bill list from, May first, was that May 15th? Any questions on it? Hearing none, we'll move into full business. Due to the length of the wishes, can I have a motion to read them by title only?
So moved.
Have roll call?
Yes.
Mayor Payne,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Resolution number 18-R-521, second reading. A resolution authorizing the city manager of the city of Columbiana, hereinafter referred as the local public agency, to execute a contract with ODOT for State Route 46 and State Route 164 project, PID 103275 in the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Comment? Roll call?
Mayor Payne,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Resolution number 18-R-522, second reading. Resolution authorizing the city manager to apply for, accept, and enter into a water pollution control loan fund or water supply revolving loan account agreement on behalf of the city of Columbiana for planning, design, and/or construction of water facilities and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan.
So moved. Second.
This is the loan that gets forgiven, right?
Right.
Any comment? Roll call?
Wilson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Noah,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2958, second reading. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a lease agreement regarding rights of certain real property owned by the municipality.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call?
Paul,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2959, second reading. An ordinance enacted pursuant to section 6.13 of the amended charter for the city of Columbiana for the purpose of adopting by reference the 2017 edition of the fire code.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment? Roll call?
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
I have a motion to read the only item under new business as an emergency.
So moved.
Second. Roll call?
Becker,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Ordinance number 18-0-2960, emergency. An emergency ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Tri-County Asphalt Materials Incorporated, P.O. Box 338, North Lima, Ohio, 44452, for the purchase of asphalt.
So moved.
Second.
Comment? Roll call?
Sauer,
Yes.
McBain,
Yes.
Lucas,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Becker,
Yes.
Is there anyone, from the public wanting to address council this evening? Go ahead. Come on up, just state your name and address for the record. I'll get you.
Craig Newbold, 347 East State Route 14, Columbiana. I just had two items that I wanted to bring up briefly. One is a water problem. Route 14 is increasingly becoming a dam and impacts my property first. 3 weeks ago, we had 50 feet of water backed up behind Route 14. And I've been flooded twice, my house, by that issue. And the rains, in conjunction with the development of the city and more runoff, it's just accentuating the problem. And I know people across the street, and the James House Trace, some of them have been flooded as well. So I presume it's a state issue, since that's a state route, but I don't know how to, address it, so I thought I would just bring it up, since the problem does seem to be accentuating, and just for the, well, for my good, and the good of some other people, somebody needs, I would hope somebody would look into it.
I think we could do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, you have that big culvert at your house, right?
4-foot culvert, which, it was there when we bought the place.
No, I mean, it crosses 14, the creek comes out, corner, I played there for years when I was a kid.
So you got to fill in a couple holes.
Yeah, yeah, but, that culvert is right there, that great big culvert is right there at your house, isn't it? It crosses over to Jamestown Trace?
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
under Route 14,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And I know they built some retention ponds over in, the development next to me.
Yeah.
Over in Oh, that's like,
Over in the back bay?
No, right next.
Woodland Run.
Woodland Run.
Okay, no worries.
Those were built wrong. I don't know how they ever got approved, at least that's what I was told. They never did a very good job of retaining water. Now the owners of the development have been going in there, started last summer, trying to clean those up. And they've been doing it, to my knowledge, on their own, so that might help, but, again, this general development of the city and depending on the rainfall, I mean, they used to not have problems unless we had significant rains. But, 3 weeks ago, we had that one day where it just rained all day. Wasn't that heavy, but enough, accumulation occurred in the city that by the time we got down throughout 14, like I said, I went down there and, basically there was 50 foot of water that was back. It had hit the culvert and it just spread out. And the culvert wasn't even full, it was only about halfway up. So that's just the topography, I think, of my land that allows it to spread out. But like I said, it's a problem. And I had 2 feet of water in my basement, 2 years ago. Finished basement.
Are you having any issues from behind your property?
Behind being uphill?
Not towards State Route 14, but,
Church?
yes.
Yes. I really get it from both directions. If you look at a topological map, I'm in the valley. I get it from both sides. But the church, we do get some runoff there. Now, there's a big culvert or ditch with I think the railroad put in right there that catches most of it. But I also, I forgot all about that, and I put in a big storm drain. I got approval for it because it's actually on city property. Right next to my fence line, and then an underground pipe taking it down to the creek, and it's now become a problem, so indirectly, it's adding to the problem.
I was just curious, because
Yeah, just water
with the
coming
new
from.
construction that's going on behind you, that whether that, what effect that may have had.
Yeah. And, like I said, several houses across the street are condos, have been flooded in the past. So I don't know if somebody
I think
could look into it, or somebody could tell me how to.
They
proceed
will
with
reach
it.
out to you and get something set up. Take it up.
Yeah, Jesse.
So I'll wait here from, okay. And the last item I had has nothing to do with me, it's just, I've been in business all my life, and of course, you guys are probably already on this, but I live by the old adage of not assuming. With the big power plant going in down in Beaver, there's gonna be, from what I understand, and somebody needs to do some research on it, but a big second, third wave of development behind that with companies that will either support the plant or use the byproducts of the plant. Given the 51, it's 4 lanes up to, 60, up to 51, and 51's 4 lanes over to Ohio. I would think, given our lower tax rates, that some thought might be given to trying to draw some of those, because potential companies that are coming in, make them aware of what's available here in Columbiana. It might entail maybe to expand 14 from the state line a little bit to 4 lanes, and maybe doing a bypass even up to 11. But if the numbers are anything near what I hear, that could be a wise investment. Just needs some exploration and decisions. And I had not heard anything being discussed about it. I had asked a couple people. I don't believe the county's done anything either, from my understanding.
You mean widening?
Just looking at the whole issue.
I think from an economic development standpoint, Lance and, Rick works with the Economic Development Group, and there's, really from the, Tourism Bureau to the Chamber of Commerce, there's multiple people involved in that, and they're working with the Port Authority and, the county economic development to try to go after things. I don't think that any stone that is available is being left unturned.
Yeah, I was actually in a meeting today where Jesse and I went today, and the township trustee down in Belmont County was actually there, and talked about it. And, I think this whole Omega region who we use, we just applied for a grant, the region of Appalachia, there's 10 counties that they're responsible for, and, we're really trying to do what you're asking.
As far as the power plant.
Yeah.
So the LC is looking into that.
You're right, to try to use both the wet and the dry products off of the cracker plant.
Not being biased, but since we're the first county.
Good point.
If there's some way that we can work, perhaps in conjunction with Penny, I assume Penny is the point person.
Yeah,
It's
she
a
was
board authority.
2 tables away from me today, so.
I mean, there's not a land up here. I mean, there's a lot of development, the road access, to the well, and the turnpike. I mean, they're already on the river, but then 11-2, the loan was built originally to connect the two bodies of water, and nothing really unfortunately happened around that, to an great extent, but this might be the catalyst that could drive that even, so, so I just thought I'd bring it up.
Thank you.
But that's all.
Appreciate it. Much.
Cody Bacorn, 35 and I Company, Columbiana. I actually have a couple of questions. They're pertaining to the roads. I know there's a couple of bids, or kind of discussion about the asphalting contract coming, maybe bids coming up or something. But I was wondering when the roads were slated to be done, the major roads inside the city limits.
You mean the state routes?
I don't know which are like, is like South Main Street considered like a state route? No, I mean.
You're like Route 14?
Yeah, I'm like the streets that are supposed to be maintained by the city.
Park Avenue.
Yeah, like just not the ones that, like the connecting streets in the state route.
No.
Yeah, we do a lot of our own paving. In 2019, all the state routes in the city of Columbiana within the county will be paved. We have a great project coming up next year, and that's sort of referencing North Main Street, and we did some patching, but that's just to get us through next year. It's a $1.7 million project, and it's only gonna cost the citizens $300,000. We're gonna budget $300,000 for that project.
Well, Lance, with typically, city, ourselves, we pay, approximately 2 miles.
Yeah, about 2 miles we do, and what we're trying to do now is prepare for the state routes coming in and connect our streets to those state routes. We actually just applied for another grant, let's see, it was like 3 weeks ago, through ODOT, and, trying to do a major collector street, part of East Park Avenue, Springfield Road, and, Tech Road, so, yeah, we continue to, pave and we try to get the best out of our budget that we can.
I did notice you guys did pave over a lot of the major holes that were in the road. I was just wondering if maybe you guys are waiting for the state, I didn't know which part of the area was a state responsibility, and you guys, if they, you know, maybe you guys applied for funds from the state to help with the project.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys are waiting on those to come back, or, I figured there was many areas involved in the, before you guys just went and did it.
Most of the road work itself is done in the summer, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would, I'm sure the street department's already got their list that they're going to do, but it won't be done for a couple of months.
Yeah, but we're probably gonna pave in late, or into late July. You know, we're just now trying to get that equipment. As far as the list is concerned, you know, that's a ever-changing list, you know, especially we just spent some money on, you know, some patching, you know, some, probably $10,000 in patching last month or so. But yeah, we have in the budget, approximately $200,000 that we're gonna pave ourselves this year.
Is that coming out of like the roads, is there like a budget necessarily associated with the roads, is by itself, or is it coming out of the general fund?
Our budget is, it's very complicated, it's a big budget, and a lot of capital improvements. There are various funds that we use to pave our streets.
Yeah, 'cause I noticed, last year, a couple of roads, the side roads down towards the start of town by the daycare place. I'm bad with roads, I don't know it, I know that East Park right here, right by where, right there, by where the car dealership is.
Yeah.
What's the opposite side by Marathon, what's that?
Yeah, that's West Park Avenue.
Oh, West Park. Yeah, I noticed a couple roads down at the edge of that road were asphalted, and I was like, why were these roads asphalted when the main roads are bad? I'm like, wouldn't the main roads come first? Because I've been down those roads, I cycle a lot.
Yeah.
So I see what people don't see out of their cars, you know, and I'm like, why were these roads done before the main roads? I think they would have priority over the...
Well, it's a very complex, I think, when Crystal asked about a year and a half ago, it took us 2 hours driving around and showing her, you know, how we do it. But I think you're talking about, out West Park Avenue area, we were able to get a grant to pave all of that for $22,000, and it was a $78,000 project. But you can only apply for grants if, you know, in certain areas for certain types of grants. So you know, there wasn't a grant at that time to maybe pave the road that you were thinking of, but there were grants to pave those types of streets in that area.
Yeah, like
So,
sorry.
Yeah, we'll take what we can get.
Like South Union was one of the
That's right.
streets.
Yeah.
Paved.
Yeah.
It's really nice, that's actually one of the roads I go down, it's like connect the road, so I don't have to take the main road. But,
we were very lucky to get that paved, and that was through CDBG, and I believe that was the first time that we did that, at least in my administration, that we were able to get that grant,
so it's gonna be like 2019 before, I'm sure it's gonna be done in
That'll be the state routes.
like,
Yeah,
like
the state routes.
like the inner city route, like the inner city streets. So it's gonna be done like 2019 this summer.
I mean, we have 49 miles of streets, or, you know, roads that we have to take care of, so it's an ever-ending cycle. Once we, you know, get to the end, we're gonna have to start over again.
I'm just talking about like the 4 roads that come into the circle.
Yeah. So next year, the north, going towards the north will be paved, into the West Park Avenue will be paved.
Already.
Those are the state routes coming into town. So it'll be 46 and 164 up to the square, and then out West Park Avenue.
Yeah.
Alright, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment, questions? Will there be any action afterwards? Okay. You want to do council comments? Are there any? If not, I need a motion to go into executive session regarding the discussion of personnel, section 121.22G1.
So moved.
Roll call?
Ms. Goodman?
Yes.
Woodson?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Clifford?
Yes.
Souter?
About 4 o'clock.
Motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
I turned red when I.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Now roll call.
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Becker?
Yes.
Souter?
Yes.
McBain?
Yes. Motion to adjourn?